Okay, you might want to clear off your desk a bit, put some books on the floor so you got a bit of room. Okay, and just have your notes out, your choice. Let's wait for you guys to get set. Okay, let's get started. So these are algebra tiles. That's often how I refer to them. And they're also algebra area models. They're the same thing. Sometimes the textbook just uses the word models, but the key idea is that they're talking about area. Yes, I can hear you playing with them and them falling over. Thank you. Okay, so we have a small square tile. If you measure it, you will notice that the small square tile is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So the dimensions would be, 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. The area then, since it's a square, length times width, it will be 1 centimeter squared. Remember, we have the exponents, 1 and 1, and we add them together. That's how we're getting the square sign, the 2. Okay. This one has a very, very special name. We call it the 1 tile, the 1 squared tile, something like that. I generically just say the 1 tile. Okay. What would be the opposite of it? If you flipped it over, it changes color, and it's the opposite. We call that the -1 tile. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use a shaded in tile to represent negatives. Okay. Good. Then we're going to the next one, the rectangle. What would be the width? What would be the width?
1 centimeter.
1 centimeter works out perfectly. Now you don't use a ruler, but use the cubes. How many cubes long is it?
5.
Please measure. Come on. 4.5. If we don't know what the measurement is, what should we call it?
No.
X, because we don't know. So the dimensions are actually 1 centimeter times x centimeters. What's 1 times x for the area? 1x centimeters squared. Okay. So really, really fancy name then. We call this the, and what's the, if we turn it over, what's the opposite? -x tile. So that one will be shaded in. Okay. Okay. Large square. What's the measurements of the large square? Are you sure? Take your x's and see if that works out, please. I don't believe Kevin. I think he's lying to us.
X by X.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Positive? Exact?
5.1.
No.
I am positive.
Positive is good. It is x by x. Exactly.
Quarters.
So dimensions would be x times x. What would the area then be? X squared. Now it has a special name then. We call it the
X squared.
x squared tile. Oh, you guys are good at this. Okay, what would be the opposite tile then? -x squared tile. And what's the difference? Yeah, it's shaded in, right? So draw a large square and shade it in. You just need to make sure it's clear that it's shaded. Okay, if I'm guessing, I'm marking it wrong. But don't shade so hard it goes through your page and you waste all your pencil lead. Okay, just do a good, decent shade. All right, good. What you need to do right now then is figure out what the textbook uses. So turn to page 177 and answer those questions. Okay, what colors are used for the 1 tiles? Red. Well, I should use red then. Red. And red is, sorry? And white is? Okay. Oops, negative. Okay, what color is used for the x and x squareds? Green is? And what's negative? White. Okay, so why do you think different colors are used for the 1 tiles and the x and x squared tiles? No, just think about it for a second. Keela.
Because you know the dimensions of the 1 tile, but you don't know all the dimensions of the other.
And not just the dimensions, but also the area. Okay, so for the 1 tiles, you know the area. Exactly. Whereas the x and the x squared tiles, you don't know the exact area. Okay. Right now, there's y tiles. We don't actually use them, but sometimes the textbook uses them. Any ideas what the y tile might look like?
A long rectangle.
Oh, longer, Keelan says. Some said red,
Or like the long square kind of like.
orange. Sorry? The side? What about the side? What would a y tile look like?
Like this, but longer, like. Oh.
Yellow. Oh, you're looking ahead, are you? Okay. Well, guess what? Turn to page 255. Let's have a look.
Oh.
So one thing that Keelan was right on, this will have 1 centimeter dimension. This will be size Y. It can either be smaller or larger than X. It just can't be the same size of X, although it is X. Okay. The textbook actually uses then, I believe, orange or yellow. I'm not sure what you'd call that. Orangey yellow. There you go. That's a man for you. Orangey yellow. Girls will be like, it's crimson, Mr. Marker. No. Okay. Just saying. Good. And then the XY tile. Okay. One will be length Y and the other will be length X. And that gives us the area of XY. So you multiply those together. Okay. So their area is actually a multiplication statement. Good. Any questions? It's going to come up, but don't be too concerned about it. Just when it does, just want to kind of mention it. We don't use them in our drawings, though, okay? All right, turn it over. So, we here have an x squared, an x squared, and an x squared. When we draw these, the unshadeds are positive. Okay, on your tiles, these will be unpainted. And so what color would you see if it's unpainted? Brown. Okay. And if you shade it in, okay, so you shade, then we're going to say they're negative. And for our tiles, what color is the shaded?
Green.
Green. Okay, so it's a little bit awkward, but we should get used to it pretty quick. Just think shaded and unshaded, because that's the only way we can really draw it, when you only have a one color pencil. So here we have negative 2x, and we can see there's a negative x and negative x, and there's two of them. That's how we get the negative 2x. And we have a plus 1. And so that's how we get the plus 1, because of the plus 1 tile. What I want you to do right now is quickly with your tiles, create that. Go. 3x plus 2. So I want you to draw now for your notes. Some people start using squares, but we don't have squares. We have rectangular x's. In fact, we should have 3 of them, and then we should have 2 small squares. And you should have seen brown, okay? Because they were positives. We're doing unshaded or unpainted as positives. Okay, now I think you guys got this figured out. B, go. We should have 1 painted or shaded square and 1 small shaded square. Please draw that right now in your notes. Okay. How many people got that with the tiles? Awesome. Okay, you guys got the clue, got the puzzle. Now use C. Go ahead, create C. Number 1, you got to pay attention to the order. When it's not written in order, it's not very pretty. So you should change it to 2x squared minus x plus 3. Notice how when I changed it, the negative x stayed as negative x. I didn't turn the tile piece over. So when you draw it, you should have unshaded, unshaded, and then you should have your X tile, which makes it look a lot nicer there, and then an X tile and then 3 1 tiles. Okay, and you can see right away how it looks so much better if it's in proper order. Okay, so now I give you the tiles right here. Here's your tiles. What's the expression? Write the expression below in this space right here. Bullfrog, what'd you get?
2x squared minus 3x.
How many people got that? Hands up. Awesome. So that's your expression looking at the tiles. Now what's the length of the rectangle made above the area model? So we're just talking length. So for this question, don't worry about positive and negative stuff, but what's going to fit over top of it and match up perfectly with the lines? Oh, what is it? How many X's? How many 1 tiles? Are they positive or negative? Positive, so we go plus 3. 2x plus 3. So that's the length. Now in the textbook, you gotta be careful. One of their questions is kind of worded weird. One's right, worded good, and the other one's worded weird. So just be careful of that when you're looking at the answer key and you're thinking, this is kind of funny. Okay, okay, go ahead, do that again for these ones. What's the length on top? What's the length? You can look at your own. It might be easier. You can actually draw on it. Four x plus 1, and the other length is 2x plus 2. Okay. Don't be too concerned about the signs right now at this point. I just want to get you to see that that's the length of the area that's below. Okay. What we do a lot of in grade 10 is you do multiplication, where you put the length here and the length there, and then inside you're going to make a rectangle, and you have to tell me what it all is. Okay. So that's coming later. It's actually pretty easy. Okay. Good. A couple things here. Why do we not write a 1 and a 1 coefficient? It's because, why? We don't need to. That's why. If you see the letter, you know there's one of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have wrote it. Do we have to write a 1 or a negative 1 for the constant? Yes. Okay. Here we go. How are the different shapes related to terms? How many shapes do we have? 3. How many terms do we have?
3.
So each shape is a term. So we can write down here different shapes are different terms. Oops. Okay. All right. So we have here an algebra model. What we're going to do now is answer these questions right here. Go. Answer as many of those questions in the chart as you can. And catch up to each other. Number of different shapes are 3, right? Big squares, rectangles, little squares. Number of different terms are 3. Okay. So what kind of polynomial would it be? Trinomial. What are the variables? Are the variables?
X squared.
Nope. How many different letters do you have?
1.
1. X is the only letter you have. So don't think x squared is a new letter, folks. It's not. It's just a different exponent. Still the same letter, x. Okay. All right. Okay, finish off the rest. Go. Okay, let's go together here. How many x squared terms are there? 3. What's the coefficient on the x squared term? 3. It's important to know that the coefficient is essentially counting our squares. Okay. How many negative x terms? 2. And what's the coefficient? Negative 2. Okay, so we have to be careful with negative coefficients and how many rectangles there are or how many negatives there are. Okay. What's the constant? 6. And we should put plus 6. It's very helpful to do that. Make sure you know what it is. And so what's the entire expression? 3x squared minus 2x plus 6. Any questions? Okay, so what we're going to do is your first part of your homework you guys can do now easily. I'm going to stop you in 15 minutes and we're going to go over the second part of your notes, which you guys are going to cruise through, okay? It's just quickly a little bit of this stuff, okay? So get started your homework right away. You can keep the time. So you're going to see some word problems, and you're going to do this actually in your everyday life. Not even think about it. So we're going to take a word problem and we're going to make a simple polynomial. Then later we'll solve for a value if we know what the letters are. So we have a quick example here. Digger Dan, he pays $5 for a saw, $10 for each hammer, $60 for each power tool. If he buys one saw, how much does he pay? 2 saws, 3 saws. What are you guys doing right there? Okay, multiplication. You're taking 5 and you're multiplying by the number of saws. So we're going to take 5 and multiply by the number of saws, except we don't know what it is, so we'll call it S. Okay. Then if he decides to buy a hammer, what would be the little formula for each hammer he buys? 10H. And how much for each power tool? 60p. Ha ha ha. So now he can do some estimating and some budgeting, and so he doesn't overspend too much money. That's kind of why he's going to do that. A lot of you guys do that in your head every time you go to the store, right? How many chocolate bars can I stuff down my face if I still want a bottle of pop? So that's kind of what you're doing, is you're budgeting, but without writing it down. So next one, Buster Bob. This one's a little bit different. He gets $40 for each car. What is that going to be? 40C, right? Multiplied by the number of cars he tows. Now here's a little bit weird. If he tows no cars, how much does he get paid? $20 just for showing up. If he tows 50 cars, how much does he get paid just for showing up? $20. Just for showing up. Not his total, just for showing up. If he tows 500 cars, how much does he get paid just for showing up? So $20 isn't changing. $20 is constant. Okay? So this here is your constant. This is hard to recognize. When are you seeing a constant? So the formula then is 40C plus 20. Okay? So then we can substitute, because now I say, hey, guess what? C equals 12. So when you substitute, the best thing you can do is use brackets. Otherwise, you can screw this stuff up when we start dealing with negative signs. So get in the habit now, use brackets. What's 4 times 12? 48, so 40 would be 480. Plus the 20, all together, 5 bills. See how I'm showing work, folks? Shh. Make sure you show work. You shouldn't have anything less than what I wrote down. Then you can say he gets paid, or he gets $500. Okay, quick, simple check. That's some good money. 12 cars is pretty tough, though, right? I don't know how much a tow truck driver gets paid. I was just guessing this up. All right, Big Mac. Have a read. Come up with your formula, please. Who's got the expression? Fiona?
40C plus
Thank you. 3C, $3 for each cheeseburger, plus 2H, $2 for each hamburger. Okay. Now you can substitute in the 6 and the 7 and solve. So make sure you use brackets, and I want to see this. Don't dog it. And a short, sweet sentence. That's great. It costs 33 bones, which is dollars. Make sure dollar signs in French, in English, dollar signs in front. That's a tongue twister there. All right. So, now in your textbook they use the hockey example, but I didn't want to make it too similar. So Rugby Mad New Zealand, 4 points for a win, 3 for a tie, bonus point for a loss, less than 5, okay, and 0 points for a loss. Make your expression. Go. Do we have to worry about this 0 points for a loss? No, right? Because adding 0, right, plus 0 won't change anything. So we should get 4W plus 3T plus the letter B for bonus point. Okay? So you might get some bonus points. Now you can substitute in, you won 4, tied 2, lost 3, less than 5 points. Okay, go ahead, substitute and solve. Christchurch Crusaders. That's an actual team. Yeah, they are in Christchurch, which is New Zealand. Okay, so for the record, oh, did I screw something up here?
16 points because it's 4 for each match. 4 times 4.
4 times 4.
4 1.
Yeah. So this would be here 4 points and 4 games that they won. Okay, so 6 plus 6, that's 22. Plus 3, 25, is that right?
Yeah.
So they all together have 25 points. Go Crusaders. Any questions? Okay, so that's going to be the last couple questions in your homework. I think question like 22, 23 or something like that. Okay, you guys have everything you need. Get to work. Go.